Chauncey Gooden, a blue chip offensive lineman from Lipscomb Academy in Nashville, Tennessee, recently joined Colorado's 2025 commitment list. Did so after an official visit to Colorado. Of course, had to get on our football analyst, William Gardner, for his reaction to Gooden's decision and get a breakdown of his game. William, before Gooden even committed to the Buffs and he was announced as a visitor for Colorado, you were expressing on our message board that just how high you were on his potential. Kind of break down what your thoughts are on his game.
Lineman, whatever, give me a 260 pounder that we can develop. That's what I'm looking for. Yeah.
Just a little bit of sarcasm in that.
There's a little bit of PTSD coming out in that comment, but I think you look at Chauncey Gooden and you take him, in addition to Seaton from last year, and that's 2 years in a row with a top offensive lineman. And I still think Yaya is a guy that's just as good as this kid. But what's increasingly becoming very clear is they are looking for huge dudes. I mean, all these guys are 6'4" and a half, 6'5", 310, 320. And I think that the closest former Buff comparison to me to Chauncey Gooden is Andre Giroud. Very similar body style, very similar playing style. So I think it's super exciting to have him on board. And I think the other thing that kind of stands out to me, we'll get to his football abilities, but he's already looks to me like he's a full-time recruiter for us, and is really excited to be part of the team and helping bring in other guys. So you bring in those big guys, and that helps you bring in quarterbacks, and you start. I guess we're not building from the outside in anymore. We're building up the inside out and getting those guys in there, because Gooden and Yaya Atia, to me, are the kind of guards that we had back in the 90s. They're road graders, they're wide bodies, and they can really make a difference up front. So there's a lot of super positive. There's almost nothing. There's almost, there's only things I can say about Gooden that are not superlative is, he's got some footwork issues, but he's a high school player. I hadn't even played his senior year yet. Aside from that, I think he's fantastic.
He was the alpha dog at the UA Next camp in Nashville, and the folks from 24/7 Sports that were out there said it wasn't even really close. That's something that Colorado coaches have mentioned as well, that he's a dog in the trenches. I spent a good deal of time on the phone with him last night, William, and I was blown away with his personality. And we've already seen him on social media kind of become a recruiter for Colorado already. And I kind of asked him, who are you going after? He said, I'm going after everybody. He's somebody that's an outgoing personality, but has that temperament that you want. Once you get in between the lines, he turns into, a different type of personality. And we've seen kind of not only just the size, like you mentioned, in the experience with some of these transfers coming in, but with Khalil Benson and Justin Mayers and Tyler Brown, there's just a different vibe within that group. And I think that when you add Jordan Seaton to that group, like you mentioned, and you're going to add Gooden there now, you've changed the mentality of that room. And we saw last year how important that is.
Yeah, and the mentality and that kind of personality that you're talking about is such a priceless thing to have in the locker room and in the huddle. I don't know, for some reason it makes me think about one of those Bronco playoff games back in the 90s, and they got stuck. They had to go 97 yards to win the damn game, and I think it was Mark Schlereth or one of the linemen in the huddle says, "We got him right where we want him," and everybody kind of cracked up and relieved the pressure, and they went out and did it. So sometimes those guys with that sort of outgoing personality is just what you need, in addition to the abilities. But yeah, they're clearly going after big, powerful guys. One of the things we saw over and over again last year was, those guards were just too damn small, and nobody's going to push these guys around. Yeah. And if you look at the upperclassmen who are going to be the starters this year, whether it's Tyler Brown or Justin Mayers or Tyler Johnson or any of those guys, they're all going to be in the 6'4", 6'5", 320, 330 range. It's like we finally got a coaching staff that sees the value of having a big wide butt out there, and let's run behind that. So I'm looking forward to that, and I think Gooden certainly fills the role there. And I like this approach. We don't need to sign 20 guys every year. We just need to sign 7 or 8 or 9 of the right guys and have two or three young guys in the offensive line pipeline that are not long-term projects, because I think Ati is probably a little bit ahead of Gooden in terms of he's been better coached. Gooden may have overall more physical talent, but both of these guys are going to play early, man.
Yeah. Got to mention Director of Recruiting Darius Darden-Box. He was on Vanderbilt staff. He started recruiting in the ways that you can. You're kind of limited in the amount of contact you can initiate, but there are ways that you can recruit a young man in some of those evaluation periods. And Coach Box really went in on Gooden when he was a freshman there, comes on Colorado staff, picks up that relationship. And Corey Phillips developed a strong relationship with him. Of course, Phil Loadholt and Coach Prime as well. And this is a heck of an offer list that Colorado beat out for Chauncey Gooden. His other finalists were Clemson, Georgia, Michigan, Missouri, Oklahoma, Oregon, Tennessee, and South Carolina, ranked currently number 10 among interior offensive line prospects in the 2025 class. Was there anything that stood out about his film in particular? Any plays that jumped off the page to you?
I'll talk a little bit about there was some video that went up from that Under Armour camp, and some of that really stuck out to me. Now, and let me just give a little philosophy. First of all, your guards. So the Under Armour camp, you see a lot of one-on-one pass protection, which is not the big thing you worry about with guards. The only thing I really worry about with guards on pass protection is that they don't get blown up and pushed back, which we saw over and over again last year because those guys were too damn small. But watching that Under Armour film with Gooden, there's so many good things there, and he's playing against good players there because they're all in that camp and they're all P5, P4 prospects. But you see him go against the swim move and defeat that. You see him go against the spin move a couple times and defeat that. You see him go against the bull rush and defeat that. And so what I look at it is with the spin and the swim with the spin move, he stays over his feet, so he's able to move and change directions, right? So the guy spins, and nothing more worthless than the spin move, and the guy's still right in front of you. So he's able to keep his mass over his feet, and that way he can shift back and forth and does a good job with that. He uses his hands well. After the initial punch, he's going to need work on. He's not great on that, but then he gets his hands up in them and keeps them at a distance, which defeats the swim move. They can't swim you when you get your hands in their ribs. In fact, one kid tries to swim him and he just runs them up the field and out of the end zone. Again, what I call the classic Andre Giroud block. Let's block him all the way out of the end zone. And then he's just so low and he's so huge that you're just goofy if you try to bull rush this guy. You might as well bull rush a brick wall because it's just not going to work, So I thought that Under Armour video was very nice. Now, his huddle is really fun because you get to see some run blocking, okay? And let's face it, what I want to see from guards is road graders in the run game, okay? And you see a lot of that on his senior year huddle. Needs to work a little bit on his footwork. They pull him a lot, and he's not leading with the correct foot. And so he'll be even better at pulling when he gets his footwork down. But he does a really good job anyway because he's athletic enough to do it. 2 plays in a row, 2 plays that sort of stand out to me at the 22nd mark. It's sort of overhead, and you see he's got a really nice stance. And he does a really nice job kind of pulling. It's not, I wouldn't really call it a pull. It's almost a fold block around the center and into the hole. Just that the linebacker he hits kind of goes tumbling like a tumbleweed. And if you watch his film, his senior year film is about 4 minutes. And if you watch it from start to end, you're going to see a lot of guys kind of going like tumbleweeds after he hits them. In fact, one in particular at the 2:10 mark, he's uncovered, so he's kind of looking to his left, and then he sees a bigger defensive tackle. Looks like he's going to beat the center, and it just looked like a semi truck hit a Volkswagen when he hit this kid. So if you want to see, and I wrote down vicious physicality. If you want to see some vicious physicality, watch this video of Chauncey Gooden. I think you'd be pretty excited. And another nice play that shows his athleticism and his vision. At the 2:18 mark, he takes on the defensive tackle who who they're doing a game, and the defensive, what I mean by that is the defensive tackle stunting inside, and then there's a blitz coming around outside. So he takes the defensive tackle, has his eyes upfield, and he does a really nice job redirecting over and picking up that blitzing linebacker, which shows both his athleticism and his vision and his understanding of the game. So I just think he is there's nothing wrong with this kid. You know, I mean, this is not some 260-pound guy we're going to have to try to put weight on. He's 320, and at 6'4", and I bet he measures over 6'4", 6'4 and a quarter, something like that, from what I see in the video. But he has such a low base that he's able to play with bent knees and bent hips, and has just really nice pad level. So I'm super excited about this guy. You know, him and Yaya together with Seton in a couple of years. You know, we're going to
Hank Zielinskis too, just a true sophomore.
You know, we're going to be huge, and
Zach Owens, Peyton Kirkland. This is going to be
right.
a good group once they develop, for sure.
Right. And you know, and I don't know, this is sort of a little bit off topic, but I just love how Lodeholt is. He is clearly, and I mentioned this in our last video. You watch the one-on-ones last summer, right? And the offensive line was so passive, okay, and the defensive line's chirping and jawboning, and the offensive line's kind of standing there, okay, got my butt kicked. These guys this year, man, I don't know if they're going to play worth the damn on Saturdays, but they ain't going to let nobody get away with nothing, because they stand up and they defend themselves, and they push back and they chirp back, and I just love the attitude that these guys have, and that has to be Lodeholt. And I think also some of the guys they brought in, like, you know, Justin Mayers, you know, and Khalil Benson, are not going to take crap from anybody. So the combination of the guys they brought in and the coach they brought in so far is looking really great. And I think,
and just to close out on that thought, and this is something that I've said a lot when I've done national interviews, when they are kind of trying to get a grasp on the way those of us close to the program covering it feel about their potential this year. The offensive line is like this, and the overall team is like this going into this coming season. And this is what I've said, is that their floor is so much higher than it was last year, but their ceiling, it's hard to say. It's hard to say definitively, but at the very least, because of that attitude you talked about with this offensive line, the experience they have, and just kind of across the board, we can debate running back in some positions, maybe tight end, but generally across the board, they've gotten better since last year. And so that floor has been risen with this program.
and you know, the other thing I'd say that offensive line has a slogan, something about keep number 2 clean, or like it's
DT2, don't touch 2.
I knew there was a little thing like that, and they're serious about it. And so I go back to last year, and I can almost not talk about it. It makes me want to punch a hole in the wall. But when that thug cheap shotted Travis Hunter, and the only guy that did anything about it was a quarterback, and the damn offensive line is standing there like they're selling Girl Scout cookies, you know. That will not happen. And then that later on in that game, that defensive tackle took a cheap shot on Shadur, and nobody did anything about it. That will not happen this year. That will not happen. There's somebody going to get thrown out, and that's not a bad thing, because sometimes you got to establish we're not taking that crap in our house, or but you know what, your house is our house. That's where we're playing. That's our house too. So that kind of aggressive nastiness from the offensive line is going to be pleasant to watch, to me.
And yeah, we kind of went off on a side tangent there, but it does kind of circle back to Chauncey Gooden in the sense that there's a mentality they're looking for an offensive lineman, and this young man has it.
I'm telling everybody, go and watch that YouTube, that huddle video of his senior year, if you like seeing guys get knocked on their backside.
All right, well, that's our breakdown of new Colorado offensive line commit, Chauncey Gooden.